Hello nuclear friends. Today we're going to talk about how to land on aircraft carriers. This is for nuclear option version 0.31.3. The general idea is that you're going to fly your tailhook equipped aircraft into the landing zone to try to catch one of these three wires. You want to fly the aircraft into the deck at a rate of 700 to 1,000 feet per minute or 3 to 5 meters per second. You want the main gears to contact the deck and the tailhook to drag along the deck until it catches one of these wires. You want to come in on about a 3.5 degree glide slope, and this is to the landing area, not to the back of the ship. So when you're lining up, you want to aim forward on the ship. There are a couple implements on the HUD to make this easier. The velocity vector indicator is the circle with the lines on it. That represents where your aircraft is actually going. The W mark, that's the water line. That represents the center line of the aircraft, the longitudinal axis. This represents where your airplane is pointing. The difference between where you're pointing and where you're going is angle of attack. So this is represented in degrees alpha. And then the angle of attack indicator, airway indicator, will tell you if you're slow, if you're on speed, or if you're fast. There's also the vertical speed indicator. We're looking for about 700 to 1,000 feet per minute, or 3 to 5 meters per second when we contact the deck. And in the center of the HUD, that's the pitch ladder. So you have the horizon is the solid line in the middle, and then each 5 degrees is marked out. And so we want to put the airframe at about plus 3.5 and the ship at minus 3.5. This is for the Ifrit, so this will give us an on-speed AOA of about 7 degrees. I use the pitch control to set the airframe angle, and then the throttle to control the velocity indicator. If you speed up, you're going to go long. If you slow down, you're going to go short. So you want to aim for the corner of the deck, kind of the forward right edge of the landing area. Remember that your airplane is about 50 feet long, so you need to aim forward the wires to catch the wires. As soon as you touch down on the deck, go to full throttle. That way, if you miss the wires, you can take off again and go around. This is called a bolter. If the wires catch you, they will hold you, so then just go to idle power. If you miss the wires, you should already be at full power, but if not, go there. And then try to climb out and do a left turn to get back into the pattern. The pattern is an oval-shaped track going around the ship. So climb up to about 800 feet at about a distance of 0.7 miles, go around the back of the ship, start turning again, and then line up for your approach. If I'm returning from a sortie and I'm not coming from the front of the ship, I usually don't bother with the traffic pattern. I just try to maneuver to get on the flight path from the back side of the ship. The main thing is that you want to get your speed and your altitude down when getting on that flight path. So I like to get it below 200 knots, so 370 kilometers per hour, and get to about 1,000 feet altitude, or about 300 meters. Now we'll take a look at the Vortex and how to take off and land from the Annex class carriers. Remember, when you're taking off, always look around, look for incoming traffic, look for people trying to land. If someone's trying to land, please hold short, just hold where you are and let them land. Or if they're a long way out on the glide slope, then take off quickly and get out of the way. You can also take a look at your map to see if there's any incoming aircraft. Your glide path is going to be a little more shallow, maybe something like 2 degrees, and you have much more control of your speed using the lift fan. The lift fan is called Custom Axis 1 in the controls. On the keyboard, bind it to a couple keys. By default, it's up and down arrow. On my throttle, I have it on a thumb switch, so I can switch it forward and back. When you have the vertical thrust in the downward position, the opening for the fan will generate a lot of drag, so you can slow down very quickly. Basically what you do is you come in from the back of the carrier, modulate your thrust to set your vertical speed. So you're coming in basically flying straight, and then you ease it down onto the deck. If you need to increase your speed a little bit, tilt the vertical lift forward a bit to about 75 degrees. That way you can maintain some speed, so you're not coming in terribly slow. When you cross the back of the ship, wait just a little bit and then start decreasing throttle to ease the aircraft down onto the ship. Then apply the brakes and set your nozzle to forward. So when you guys are taking off in a Tarantula, you set it to -20 and just take off backwards, right? That's a normal way to take off. Landing the Tarantula is basically the same thing. You want to come in behind the Annex class carrier, use the reverse thrust to slow down, and then as you cross the deck, slowly decrease the throttle and put it on landing gears. If you want to practice yourself, load up the game, go to single player, select Free Flight Heartland, and start the mission. If you select the BDF, you can access the Annex class carrier. It's over to the left of VK. From that, you can select the Cricket, the Chicane, the Vortex, the Tarantula, and the Medusa. If you want to switch sides, just hit escape and hit restart mission. Then you select the Pala and scroll down, and there's a Hyperion class carrier. From that, you can use the Cricket, the Compass, the Ibis, the Chicane, the Ifrit, and Medusa. When you're selecting your spawn point, left click on the carrier and then right click somewhere on the map. This is to command the carrier to move. Now go ahead and deselect some of the ordnance. This is to represent coming back to the carrier after a sortie, so you've expended your ordnance and you're low on fuel. With a lighter aircraft, it's going to land at a lower speed, so something like 130 knots, or a heavier aircraft will land at a higher speed, something like 160. Remember to look around for any incoming traffic. Again, if somebody's coming in, if somebody's landing, please hold short, let them land, or if they're a long ways off, just go. Taxi out onto the deck, get lined up, full power, and off you go. So what if you want to land a tailhook airplane on a non-tailhook carrier? So here we have the Ifrit, and we're going to land on an Annex. What you're going to do differently now is instead of the 3.5 degree glide slope, you're going to land it more like the VTOL, where you're going to come in at a shallow glide slope, and then right as you cross the deck, you're going to cut power and stall it right onto the deck, apply brakes, and hope you don't skid off the end. So the real question is, can you land a Darkreach on a carrier? And the answer is yes. Thanks for watching, everyone.